We have strict statutes and the most biting laws. The needful bits and curb to headstrong weeds, which for this 19 years we have let slip, even like a lion in a cave that that goes not to prey now for as fond fathers having bounded bound up the threatening twigs of birch, only to stick it in their children's sight, not for terror, not to use in time the rod more mocked than feared. So our decree, dead in infliction, and to themselves are dead. And liberty plucks justice by the nose. The baby beats the nurse, and quite athwarts goes all this decorum. I do fear, too dreadful. Sif was my fault to give the people scope. 'Twould be my tyranny to strike and gow them, for I bid them for I bid for what I bid them do. For we bid this be done when evil deeds have permissive path and not the punishment. Therefore, indeed, my father, I have on Angelo imposed the office, who may ambush in my name and strike back and strike home. And yet my nature is never in the fight. To do in slander and to behold his sway, I will twere a brother in your order, visit both the prince and the people. I pray thee, supply me with a habit, and instruct me how I will may formally in person bear me like a true friar. More reason for this action at our more leisure shall I render to you. Only this one. Lord Angelo is precise, stands at a guard with envy, scarce confess that his blood flows and that his appetite is more to bread than stone. Hence shall we see if power changes purpose, what our seems be. So these lines are important because they set the foundation for the rest of the play and they answer the questions that is entrusted to us in 1.1. So in 1.1, Angelo suddenly takes power as the Duke leaves, and we learn the Duke leaves as he wants to reinforce old laws, but if he was to do so himself, people would call him a hypocrite. Therefore, he pretends to leave and comes and stays as a friar and watches over Angelo as he reinforces the law. This shows quite a bit about both characters, both Angelo and the Duke. So, from what we learn about Angelo is that he will uphold the law to the dot. He, at 1.3, would not be tempted by temptation, and his faith would be strong as a rock. And the Duke, we learned that he's a bit insightful, seeing as he did not directly try to reinforce old laws because he can anticipate what would happen. So in these lines, Shakespeare uses two literary devices: imagery and alliteration. Imagery, he uses words like threatening twigs of birch and the lion to really paint an image in our head so that we can, like the lion that sits in the cave and does not go out to hunt is like the laws that are there but aren't used. And alliteration is especially helpful probably to the actors of the time and me, because when having to memorize it, it's really helpful to have two consecutive words starting with the same constant. It's a whole lot easier to memorize, and I would not have noticed that unless I had to memorize. So I thought that was a pretty cool